Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. This is Illidan, last boss in Black Temple, last boss of Phase 3. We're going to start the fight off with a Fairy Fire, Moonfire into Starfire, and pop the Destropot and on-use cooldown. So I think I'm going to start using Treants here in Phase 1, right before I pop Destropot and on-use. I've been using it at different parts of the fight, but I feel like Phase 1 is a good place for them. Just in case you get a big string of crits here with all your cooldowns up, you won't worry about chasing your tank's threat. But he's going to transition at 65%, so just keep an eye on the percentage of his health. But this is really just a tank and spank part of the fight. You want to get your cooldowns going as soon as you can. I've got Demonic Rune on cooldown. I popped that as soon as my mana was low enough to use it. I've got the Krieg Stout Beatdown buff going, give us some extra spirit. Now Phase 1 and Phase 2 is pretty easy to stay in range of your Shaman's totems, but after this phase is where I have trouble sometimes depending on which Shamans in my group. Some of them I know where they're going, other ones I don't, so I'm still getting used to that. But I do Fairy Fire both of the adds just again to give the tanks a chance to get threat. Since they're wearing fire resistance gear, I think popping a Moonfire on both at the start might not be that bad of an idea either. But pop it on the one you're not fighting first, and then switch back and pop Moonfire on the one that you are going to be attacking. So hopefully we can get this part of the fight short enough to where I only need to have one Fairy Fire on the first add and not have to reapply it at 10%. So I used my on-use trinket again for the second time in this phase, trying to keep that going as soon as it's available. Just like the mana potions, I've mana potted already and demonic runed again. Pretty easy part of the fight. We really just stand in one spot and turn around and pivot. So here we get a chance to regen some mana, which is nice, and let our cooldowns come off a little bit. Yeah, here I lost track of my shaman. I don't know where they're at, even watching the replay, but I can see on my raid frames I'm not in range. So maybe he's over by star and square. And I try to reposition during this part of the fight while I'm using instant cast to try to get in range. I see some totems, but maybe they just forgot to put them down. So this is the phase we pop Heroes in that, and because I Destropot in that phase 1, I do get kind of tapped on mana here. But I think if we get the boss fight sped up just a little bit more, the cooldown should work a little bit better. If not, I threw a couple downrank Starfires right before that mana pot came off cooldown. So once he's in Demon phase, we get to regen a lot. So I used my third rune right before this phase, so got that to start ticking on its cooldown. Alright, so stage 4 should be in range of those Shaman's totems. I do find them here pretty soon. But what's really going to boost your DPS in this phase is if he gets tanked into a trap. He's going to take double damage, so if you're getting a couple of crits, or if you have some cooldowns available like an on-use, definitely pop your on-use or a Destropot if it aligns correctly with the time of the fight. And we were getting him down, we get him down to I think 10%, and then he heals and gains an extra like 8%. But I think it worked out for my DPS because he does get brought into a trap, and I get a nice string of crits. So it worked out perfect. I had Moonfire, and then my next 3 Starfires crit. If only it was a couple seconds later, I might have tried to Destropot right there, just to see how big of a crit I could have got. But just popped another mana pot. And I think this is kind of unlike the last boss in Mount Hyjal, Archimon. You want to keep pumping even when he's at this 1% and kneeling on the ground. Like, keep laying into him until he's not taking damage anymore. All of this is still going to count. So even this part of the fight counts towards the DPS. so it kind of lowers it down, but it's lowering it for everybody. It's just kind of weird how they don't stop the fight right at the start of this part. So we still haven't seen any glaives drop. This was week 5, I think, and only one Zardum and one skull have dropped for us too. So we're back to phase 1 of the fight. I forgot to mention, if you do get the parasites, just insect swarm, move out of the group, and then once you have to move back, just insect swarm and come back. Should be off cooldown by the time the parasites spawn. But if not, just use a different global like Re-Up Fairy Fire or Moonfire, or that if you have held on to your treants. So this was a little bit longer than a couple of our other attempts. It was 7 minutes, 17 seconds. The last 17 of that was just that end of the fight where you can't DPS them. So we're looking at about 7 minutes on the fight. So I got 4 uses out of my on-use trinket. 3 mana pots, 1 destro pot. I had my 4th rune available at the very end there if I needed it. So really important to keep your potion and runes on cooldown. I might have to change up the timing of the icon. Still have the first one as soon as I pop destro pot and everything, but maybe hold off on this second one and use it right at the start of heroism, and then maybe it will be back up for a 3rd time for a potential trap phase in phase 5. So not too much movement to have to worry about on this fight. It's a lot of different versions of Tank and Spank, so shouldn't have to use Insect Swarm very many times in this fight unless you get that parasite. Make sure you know where your shaman's going for phase 3 so you're in range of their totems. That's it for boss fights for this phase, so thanks very much for watching this video and all the other videos for this phase. I'll be doing a recap of Hyjal and Black Temple coming up in the next week or so, since it's been a while since I've done a couple of the videos on those bosses, just to kind of update strategies and stuff like that have changed.